for the railroad, tourism was taking over as the main source of revenue. They said at one time there were as many as 7 trains a day bringing folks up here to ride over the loop. It was said to be very fashionable to hop aboard a train in Denver, ride up over the loop, have a picnic lunch up in Silver Plume, and be back in Denver in time for supper. Between 1905 and 1918, many people continued their ride aboard the Argentine Central Railroad that started out at Silver Plume and went to the top of this mountain on your right. That's McCullough Mountain to an altitude of 13,500 feet. This was a very steep railroad, some grades in excess of 7%, requiring the use of specially built gear-type locomotives. Now back to our story about the Colorado Central. The tourism passenger business was working quite well for them until 1920s came, and the advent of the automobile started catching on, and also the onset of the Great Depression combined to pretty much wipe out the revenue from the passenger business. So that by the end of the 1920s, they had eliminated it entirely. And into the 1930s, they were just running 3 or 4 freight trains a week up this way. By the time 1939 rolled around, even that wasn't proving to be profitable. So in 1939, they filed for abandonment of the line, pulled up all the tracks and bridges, and sold it for scrap between 1939 and 1941. Well, now we're going to flash ahead to the 1960s. The Federal Highway Commission was looking for a route for their Interstate Highway 70, which was going to be right up the middle of this valley. Colorado Historical Society realized that this rich history needed to be saved and petitioned the Highway Department to take all of their highway over to where you see it now on the side of Republican Mountain. Now we're going to flash ahead to the 1970s, to 1973 to be precise, and the Colorado Historical Society wanted to rebuild this line. So they contacted the Ashby family, the Rocksham, operating a narrow gauge operation over in Central City, Colorado. They came over here with help of the U.S. Navy Seabees and some equipment donated by the Union Pacific Railroad and started reconstructing the line. They finished down to where the High Bridge is today in 1974. And finished the High Bridge and the Devil's Gate boarding station in 1984. Now we've been running trains on this line ever since. Now we're just getting ready to go on what some folks consider to be the most scenic portion of our run. This is the Highfield Curve. When this curve was built back in the 1870s and 1880s, it took several years to construct, as all this material underneath the curve was brought here by wheelbarrow or horse team. Now if you take a look off to the right side of the train, once we get clear of the trees, is a nice view of the High Bridge with Georgetown in the background. In this bowl-shaped area over to the left side of the train, that's what we call the ballpark. Back in the days when the miners had the occasional day off, usually the 4th of July and Christmas, they'd like to bring their families up here and have picnics and play little baseball. Because if they hit the ball over the Highfield Curve, it was an automatic home run, and nobody had to chase after the ball. Now our railroad, like the original GBL, is narrow gauge. That is, the tracks are only 3 feet apart. Most railroads in the United States are standard gauge, where the tracks are 4 feet 8.5 inches apart. Now that strange number comes from Abraham Lincoln in the 1860s when he signed the Pacific Rail Act, amongst other things, with the majority of railroads in the United States on the standard gauge, which at that time was the European standard gauge. And that was the width of a Roman chariot and 2 horses pulling that vehicle. Well, here in the Rocky Mountains, narrow gauge was still king. For one thing, the cars were narrower and shorter, which was good for going around sharp curves like the one we just came around. They were also smaller and lighter, which was good for going up steep grades like the one we're going down right now. This is the steepest portion of our railroad. This is a 4% grade, which means for every 100 feet of forward travel, we drop 4 feet in elevation. Narrow gauge was also good for going through boulder fields like this one we're going through right now. because the road bed is narrower.